Zak, welcome to the Sports Agents. You've already told us that you're a little bit exhausted. You've just got off one plane, heading on another plane, but that is, I guess,
that's
pretty
the world
much
I live in.
your life. Yeah.
Yes.
And we are heading into, obviously, the kind of tickly bit of the season. Does energy start to wane, or does this feel like the really exciting bit now, where you could see the finish line, so to speak?
Yeah. When the energy goes, it's just for a day. So I just got in from California last night. After about a 2-week road trip, we had Vegas, and literally got home, unpacked my bags, packed my bags, and had to be in the MTC, our factory, early this morning. So last night I didn't sleep, but I'll get a great sleep tonight on the way to Qatar. So you do get tired, but never for more than one day.
So when you say that you had to be in the factory today as well, is that in relation to the final couple of races coming up, or is that throwing ahead to next season? I mean, are you trying to balance lots of different things at the moment?
Definitely trying to balance lots of different things, but that's kind of normal course of business. And I travel so much that when I'm home, I want to be in the factory with the team. So it was just more of a, I'm now back on the road for 10 days for Qatar and then on to Abu Dhabi. So it was more of a
Touching base.
This was my one time to see everyone. So I just didn't want to miss that opportunity.
The culture of the whole business is really important to you, I think, isn't it? In terms
Very.
of transparency and not having, everybody having a say and being able to communicate, and obviously the papaya rules that intrigue people so much, that you are kind of saying to your drivers, go and race. Is that as clear cut as that?
It is. I think people have made the papaya rules kind of maybe more than what they are, which is really just respect your teammate, don't crash into them, and race hard. But they kind of took on a life of their own. I think had we said over the radio, I think where it all got started from is one of the engineers said, don't forget the papaya rules. And then that just became a thing. Had it been, hey, don't forget to be nice with your teammate, no one would have ever talked about it again. So, but, that's fine. It's become a thing, and we love papaya. So the more people are talking about papaya, the better. But it's been, we're trying to do something, and we've got 2 races to go that most other teams don't try, which is to have 2 number 1 drivers and let them fight to the finish. In fact, the last time that's happened was us in 2007, and the finish was our 2 drivers tied, and Kimi Räikkönen just snuck in to win the championship. So that is the risk that you take, but I'd rather have 2 drivers fighting for the championship than 1, and 2 drivers fighting for the championship gives you your best shot in the constructors, and then having 2 drivers that are world champion drivers pushes the whole team along. So I think there's a lot more upside than downside to having 2 drivers race.
Who drives that ethos then, Zak? Was that you when you took over this role? I mean, you talked about the team historically having done that in the past. Is it a bit of both? And the follow-up for that is one of the reasons this has become such a discussion and such a talking point is because it's so rare within your sport.
Yeah, I think it's definitely rare within our sport, so that's why everyone's speaking about it. The funny thing is, when Lando was leading in the beginning of the year, it was Oscar should support Lando. Then Oscar's leading all throughout mid-year. Lando should support Oscar. Now here we again have Lando in the lead, and people saying Oscar should support. Well, one race, Oscar might be in the lead. He could be leading going into Abu Dhabi. So I don't see how you could possibly pick between the 2. If one was statistically out, that would be a different story. But they both have a chance.
And you obviously believe they are as good as each other.
100%.
And so does this philosophy only work if you believe, so if you...
Yeah, if we had 2 drivers and it was clear one was a number 2.
Like Red Bull do.
Like Red Bull, but that kind of has to develop on its own. We hired 2 drivers, deliberately equal opportunity. To come back to your earlier question, McLaren's always done it that way. That's one of the things I love about McLaren, they've always been my favorite team.
They don't always get on though, do they?
Well, no,
historically?
but that's never stopped them from racing, right? I mean, Lauda and Prost
Yeah.
got along, and they Lauda won the championship by half a point. Senna and Prost clearly didn't get along, but they never stopped racing. They just ran into each other. Lewis and Fernando clearly weren't best buddies. Lewis and Jensen got along. They weren't fighting for the world championship, but they were fighting each other. That went well. And then you have times like Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard where they were given equal opportunities, but it just became apparent Mika was another level. He's one of the best world champions ever. So then I think David probably fell into a little bit more of a number 2 driver, but that wasn't by the team's design. That was just Mika's right foot, which I think David, who was an awesome
I
racing
think he's one
driver.
of your favourite drivers of all time, isn't
Mika,
he?
yeah, big time. So that's always been our DNA, and we're not going to kind of listen to the noise or take the bait of everyone trying to encourage us, because they're a bit bummed that there's not been any arm wrestling matches between our drivers. But sorry.
And would you said you strike me even in this discussion as it's very much the right thing and very laid back about it and very chilled about it, and what will be. If it ended up that neither of them win it, who do you answer to? Do you have to answer to anybody? And do you then go away in the off season and think, well, what a great season we've had? We have entertained fans of the sport. We don't have the individual world champion, but we've done right by the sport that I work in. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've got people to report to, which is my chairman, but they're all aligned around what our racing standards are, if you'd like. So they've signed up for what we've signed up for. So no one to answer to in that respect, that if we don't win, no one's going to be knocking on my door saying, why did you do that? Because they're along for the journey and the ride. And yeah, we're going to just stay focused on what we think is right. And I think there's a lot more upside than downside to having 2 number 1 drivers, but there is some downside. 2007's kind of your worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk us through your emotions since the Las Vegas race finished?
Yeah,
and how we've ended up in this situation?
Yeah, so it was a very minor mistake with huge consequences, right? Getting disqualified from a race doesn't get worse.
When you could have actually finished
second and
Yeah.
fourth, I think we were. Wrong time. Many other teams have had the same violation. It's unintentional. It's not performance enhancing. Ferrari and Mercedes both been disqualified for the same thing in the last couple of years. But as I told the team, does that make us feel better? Not really. But what it does do is demonstrate these things do happen. It was the thickness of a piece of paper. Crazy. And we weren't running the car. There's 2 ways you can have too much skid wear, not to get overly technical. One is to run the car too low, which is illegal. The other is you can have what's called porpoising, which is in the aerodynamic of these cars. They effectively bump up and down. And that's what we had. And so we weren't running too low. What we had was too much porpoising. That came from a lack of data coming out of Thursday and Friday where all the sessions were raining. But yes, 9 other teams did get it right. So at the end of the day, we got it wrong. The FIA is looking at it because they also feel that the penalty's a bit draconian. But that's what the rules say.
Right.
So,
And on that, because like you say, other teams got it right, you got it wrong, where does the buck stop there? Is that the team principle that ultimately takes that? Because
no, it's the team, because these types of decisions are collective. So, Andrea obviously feels extremely responsible for the racing team. I feel very responsible for the racing team. So I think we all own it. We very much have a no-blame culture. It's not that guy's fault. It's collectively we made a decision and we got it wrong. So we analyze our mistakes, big ones, small ones, ones that had consequences, ones that didn't have. That's what we do. So I think, of course, I was angry as was the whole team. Saturday night, even Sunday, but then you get some good sleep. Kind of let the drivers alone for 48 hours. And then everyone re-engages and everyone realizes a season's 24 races, not one.
If you were looking in
got to get on with it
on this sport, as I often do as somebody who's not immersed in it, and you look at the drama and you look at the Netflix kind of drama and you think, well, this opens the door to Max Verstappen a little bit here. This gives the final 2 races a lot more jeopardy. As you've just said there, it's very draconian for what seems like a minor infringement. Sometimes it's hard to not be cynical on these things, isn't it?
Basically, Zach, me and Gabby are both really cynical. That is the bedrock of our podcast.
You're going for the conspiracy theory.
Not necessarily conspiracy, but it seems convenient.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me. I would like, if that came out of my mouth, it would kind of feel like an excuse. So I'm kind of not going to go there. I'm going to kind of go, we got it wrong. Yes, the rules are a bit draconian. Yes, it didn't make a perform. Yes. But we got it wrong at the end of the day. And the rules are the rules. I can't sit here and enforce the rules on the competition. And then when they come our way, go, well, kind of close is close enough. I don't think that's the case. A lot of people do. I don't think that's the case. And I'd like to think, the rules are the rules, and
the data will be on it.
And the data will be
the next couple of weeks.
100%. And others have been disqualified. It's just unfortunate when and where. If this was the second race of the season and no one was thinking about the championship, you wouldn't have given it any thought.
And you know how strong a competitor and how brilliant Max Verstappen is at taking opportunities. Was that pretty much your first thought when you found out?
Yeah, he's like that guy in that horror movie that right as you think he's not coming back, he's back. So what an unbelievable talent he is. He never makes mistakes. He seizes every opportunity. We've never thought he was out. When we were, I think I had a 104-point lead on Max. People are like, oh, this is a done deal. We've never thought it was a done deal, and here we are. And, I think it's a good example. Abu Dhabi last year for the Constructors' Championship, Saturday, we qualified first and second, and Ferrari's, I think, fourth and 18th. It was like kind of game over. We didn't think it was game over. Come turn 1, Max wipes out Oscar, and it's game on. So that came down to the last lap of the last race. At what looked like we should have had it wrapped up a couple races. So this is sport. How many sports have we seen? I don't know if you followed the World Series. That looked like it was over until it wasn't. So I just think, that's why we don't get too upset about any one thing. It's sport. You learn, you live, you go again. Worrying about Vegas today is not going to make us faster tomorrow.
Where is, I think both me and Gabby thought we'd really like to drill into what your job actually entails, because we often, talk to people in your positions, but where is, with 2 races to go and the driver's title on the line, where is your worth here as the boss of this team? Is it a 15-minute chat with Lando here? Is it a 10-minute chat with Oscar there? Where do you come into your own over these final 2 races?
I think kind of all the above. Definitely spending time with the drivers. I was on the phone with both of them yesterday. I'm very close with both drivers. That's something Andrea and I work on very closely. I think it's to provide leadership to the team, right? I mean, there is a lot at stake. While we all might seem pretty chilled, we're actually really not. We're just kind of trying to, right? It's kind of like if you're in the military, it looks all nice and orderly, but it's pretty intense what's going on. And that's our reality. Of course, it's intense, it's emotional, frustration, happy, and, all that, but you got to just manage it. At a race weekend, I'm trying to free up Andrea so he can just focus on the performance of the team. So I'm taking sponsors, media work, representing the team, making sure everyone's in a great frame of mind. I'm trying to get, it's a sports team, and trying to get everyone operating at their best is about taking pressure out of the system, not putting it on. And my view is, my team's heard me say this 1,000 times, they don't work for me, I work for them. I'm not doing the pit stops. I'm not calling the strategy. I'm not picking the tires. What I'm trying to do is make sure that those people that do have those responsibilities are fully fed, if you'd like, and in a great environment where they can operate at their optimum levels. That's my job.
And you mentioned there having the conversations with the drivers. The kind of Piastri kind of crowd feel that perhaps it's not quite as even, your relationship with both the drivers, and that because you've known Lando for such a long time, since he was a junior driver, that there might just be a bit of favoritism towards him.
That's total nonsense. And we hear the nonsense out there, and there's a lot of it. And on one end, it's frustrating because you'd like to actually. People are so uninformed with some of the.
It's hard to prove it, I guess, isn't it? From your point of
It's
view,
hard to prove it, but like we know it. Oscar
and the
knows
drivers
it.
know it.
Lando knows it. Our team knows it. But unfortunately, in today's social media world and clickbait headlines and everything, it's just the facts are just so wide of the mark sometimes. It's actually
do they socialize together? Do they spend a lot of
they're
time?
very friendly. I would say they socialize,
Right.
right? They don't kind of hang out,
Right.
but they're very respectful and friendly. I've never felt once any tension in the room, which you can feel when you kind of see two people in the room. They're totally relaxed. Anytime they get grumpy at Andrea and I for maybe something that we've done. They never get grumpy at each other, not once. And so you do, I've read reports over the years where it's just like, it's not even remotely accurate. Which then kind of makes it a little hard for me to sometimes watch and read certain media because it's like, I know how wrong and inaccurate some of our facts are. So kind of be careful what you click on and read because it can be anywhere from spot on to 180 degrees from reality.
Do you read and watch and listen to? You do,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah.
You don't because people in sport go one of two ways. One, they read it all and store it up, or they try and shut it all out and just focus on what you're more of a consumer. Right?
Yeah, I am because I think it's important to know what people are saying and thinking because I'm responsible for the brand, if you like. So I think I need to see what people are saying and do my best to kind of convey what McLaren's up to. I think we're very transparent with our fans. Some people just don't want to hear it. Or some people are just mega fans of other teams, and so it doesn't matter what you say. So I do think you need to not take it personally.
Are you thick-skinned?
I'm very thick-skinned. It's even kind of weird. I kind of enjoy some of the harassment.
Slightly masochistic.
Yeah, because it's so ridiculous. Unfortunately, my comms team won't let me reply because I thought, could I be the one guy in sports who just replies with sarcastic comments? The problem is you just get it wrong a couple
Those
times.
sarcastic comments, when they're repeated in black and white, don't look
how
they were
don't
intended
look
to
good.
sound.
But
do they? Yeah.
it's
Zach, if you need someone to work for you just to reply with sarcastic comments,
you're the man.
I'm very much available.
It would be fun. It would be fun because I've had some belters coming back their way, but you just got to move on.
To the beginning of actually right back to childhood and how you got into this all in the first place, going on Wheel of Fortune, the famous clip where you're so cute. I mean, just he's like such a lovely little boy. And,
a long time ago.
And obviously you fell in love with the sport and you used the money that you eventually got from selling the watches there to start your own karting career. Does that prove that anybody can get to the top in F1?
It does. And that's one of the things I get kind of frustrated on at sometimes with some people that are either dreamers. It's just hard work. Like, I did it. Anybody can do it. So I'm always like to help people that want to help themselves. I've got no interest in kind of people that want it handed on a silver platter. I just went out and did it, and I'm still doing it. And there was no secret sauce other than just hard work and passion and not quitting, and having a dream but not being like, I got to go get it. It's not going to come to me. And so, yeah, I think anyone can do what I did if you have the passion, the desire, and you don't quit.
So tell us, to anybody who doesn't know, what you won on Wheel of Fortune.
On Wheel of Fortune, I won the first 2 rounds, the Smurfs and Wild Bill Hickok, and I got a bunch of his and her watches. And then I went to the Long Beach Grand Prix for the second time. The first time I went was 81 when I was 10, just with my family, kind of the circuses in town. They weren't into racing. I'd never been to a race before. Loved it. But then in high school, my buddy's family was in racing. I had these watches sitting in my closet. We go back to Long Beach Grand Prix. We meet Mario Andretti, definitely one of my living legend hero. Senna, Andretti, Hakkinen, Mansell, Fittipaldi. Those are my 5 guys. And met Mario and was very nervous and just kind of worked up the nerve to say, how do you get started in racing? He said karting, and there happened to be a kind of a 1/4-page ad in the race program, which I still have. And I didn't think my parents would go for it. So I went and sold the watches and started karting, and then did all my own sponsorship. I didn't know anything about sponsorship, but I was just, I need sponsorship to race, so I'm going to become an expert on getting
And you didn't
sponsorship.
even finish high school, did you?
No.
Your parents must have, I mean, I don't know what their ambitions were for you, but they must have been a little bit nervous.
They were. They weren't big at school themselves, but they both went. I think they gave up on me going because I wasn't going to go and never went. It was school was not my forte at all. And I think it's because I it wasn't exciting for me, and I'm a kind of an all in or all out type. If I love it, I'm all in. I got an A in baseball because I loved baseball and work experience. Those are the only 2 things I was good at. And it wasn't that I failed at the other. I just didn't do it. I didn't go. And so I finally found through baseball, which was my first love. But in order to be on the high school baseball team, apparently you got to go to high school.
Yeah.
So that was the end of the high school baseball career. And then from there it went racing.
Do you as you mentioned baseball 2 or 3 times, do you think your skills would be transferable into another sport? I mean, this is something that we discuss a fair bit on this podcast from time to time, from everything that you do with McLaren, because you're a culture builder, aren't you, Zach? That is what, from everything that you've said to us today, that's what you've done. Could you go into, I mean, the Dodgers probably don't need a culture reset at the moment, given the World Series, but I don't know, Colorado Rockies, could you go in there and reset?
I think I could, because it is just culture and sports team and getting people, and I've got such a passion for baseball. I'd be all in, and I know baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I could coach a team tomorrow morning. I don't know it that well, but if I was all into it, probably could in any sport, because I think the similar, it's getting the most out of
Could you reset
it.
the culture at Manchester United?
I don't know enough. I'm not a football guy.
But the kind of overarching
But I
team
think the
principles.
concept's the same, right? It's about getting the best people you can, getting them to overachieve, getting them to work together, getting them to trust, like kind of what the sport is almost doesn't matter, right? In baseball, you want to get 9 players working unbelievably as a team, or a football team, or an ice hockey team. And so I do think what I'm doing at McLaren is transferable, if you'd like, to other sports.
So on that, Adrian Newey announced as principal at Aston Martin, and obviously known for his genius in terms of design. Does it matter which part, do you think, of motor racing you come from to be a team principal?
No, but you need to have a certain skill set from a managerial point of view, right? As a team boss, I'm doing my own stuff, but I'm actually facilitating everyone else doing their doing. I think, I know Adrian very well. The guy's an absolute legend. And I don't know their structures, so this is just me looking from the outside in. Andrea, the model we have at McLaren is Andrea takes the performance of the racing team, and then I take the performance of the business, and we very much work together. So the old TP model, team principal, when these teams were smaller, was the owner, also the CEO, and also the team principal. They kind of did it all. That's when the teams were 300, 400, 500 people. Now we're 1,400 people. Wow. So Andrea couldn't give 100% to what he's doing if he also had to do what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do what Andrea's doing if I was doing. So what I don't know is with Adrian being at Aston, he can't do it all. No. He can't design a race car and be a team principal and a CEO. But what I don't know is
which parts of the job he's going to
what parts of the job he's doing. I would want to make sure Adrian is spending 100% of his time on the race car because that's his geniusness. So I guess that would be the watch out is for every meeting he's in that's not about designing the race car, where is his skill best? And when you've got the best race car designer ever, I'd want him 100% on designing the car. But maybe they are. That's I don't know what their setup is.
Do you think also the overall exec role within F1 has changed over the last 10 years, maybe? You may contradict me, Zach, I don't know, but it feels like, you mentioned Nigel Mansell, it feels like if I was growing up in the sort of 80s and 90s, that I probably wouldn't have known who team principals were or chief execs were of F1 team. There was, probably Briatore and Eddie Jordan were the two characters of the pit lanes in the 90s, really. Whereas now, again, going back to Drive to Survive, which you can't ignore, you are partly showbiz yourself here with the role.
Yeah,
aren't
the
you?
sport's grown so much from even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, and this is now my 9th season. I don't know if we were truly the first team, but it kind of feels like it, where we kind of took the team principal and created a team principal and a CEO role. Now you see others doing that. A lot of other teams doing that. So I think we've landed on what's the best way to provide leadership of a Formula One team, and it's no longer one person. It's a team of people, a couple people, depending on how. So I think what worked 10 years ago wouldn't work today. It's not that those people wouldn't work today, but that the structure wouldn't work because the sport's just blossomed.
Mm-hmm.
But you become more of a character and more of a face and more of a personality as well.
Yeah, part of my job is to represent, the brand. And I remember my first F1 race, meeting my first driver, seeing the first car, and the impression that left. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember the grandstands. I mean, I could paint a picture of it right now. And so I feel that's part of my responsibility, because we are in the sport and entertainment business, is to give that same experience that I had when I was 10 years old to not most of the fans we meet, all the fans we meet, like being good 95% of the times. So Netflix has definitely brought a recognition, on the street, and people are excited to meet you and talk about Formula One, and they can't kind of control when they're going to bump into you. So I've bumped into people pretty much everywhere, and I've never said no, because they can't control when they're going to meet you, and they're excited and they're a fan of the sport. And the last thing you want to do is kind of put them off by not being pleasant to them.
You have got 2 cars in the Formula One Academy, two female drivers there, which is not the case with every company, every car. So you're obviously very supportive of those women. So. How far away do you think we are from a woman having a seat in a Formula One?
So if you look at how many Landos it takes to find one Lando, so I don't know, pick a number, 10,000. So
or Zach, just to help you out, Oscar. How many Oscars?
Exactly. Thank you for that.
I think he's going for a job as your comms director.
Exactly. And so what we need, which the sport has really embraced, and I'd like to think we're leading the way, as you mentioned. We're one of only 2 teams with 2 cars. We were the first team to sign up, and we've got lots of other activities to introduce young women to motorsports. Obviously, the driver part is the most famous and exciting. I think it takes 6-7 years to get into Formula One. So what we need, which we have now, back when I was karting, I remember like maybe 1 woman karting. Now you go to a kart track and it's 15%.
Right.
We need to get at the grassroots level as many women and young girls karting as there are Landos and Oscars and Lewises, because you need that volume to get.
There will be somebody special enough at some point.
100%. So I don't
within
think
your lifetime in the sport.
Yes, because I plan on being in the sport for another 15 to 20 years.
Well, those daily cryo chamber sessions, I think, are going to help, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So, which I did last night when I got home. I needed a shot of wake up. Yes, definitely in my lifetime, and I'd say within 10 years. But what we need is high volume of participants in esports and karting, because that's where you get started.
I think Netflix is also doing an amazing job.
Netflix doing a great job. And then while a woman world championship driver, I think that's the key, right? We don't we want drivers that are world champion material, not just there is one.
Taking a seat. Yeah.
And so I think that'll take time, but I think the sport recognizes it. It can be done. There's been very successful women racing drivers over the years. Danica Patrick won IndyCar races. There was Desiree Wilson. I mean, there's just not been many. But I think these initiatives will help drum up interest, because also the dynamic, Lando and Oscar, they're karting at 8-9 years old, and that's dad taking son to the racetrack. That's not naturally kind of what mom and daughter would do, right? Maybe now, because of how much exposure Formula One's created to women in general, which has been awesome. But
I've seen it within my own family.
But that's the dynamic, right? You need either mom or dad. So going to the 18-year-old
so instead of the soccer
daughter.
Mom, you've got the racing mom.
Correct. and I think what they need to be, which is the case, is feel comfortable, welcome. How do I do it? It's something that has been not as embraced over the years. Now that it is,
there's been lots of small changes, I think, as well, with the visibility of the sport, that have just made it look more inclusive and welcoming over 100%. The last 10-15 years.
100%.
Zak, we need to end it there. You're a busy man. You've also battled jet lag to be with us, and we've never had a guest fall asleep on us yet. So we'll quit.
I'm feeling good. I got the coffee that you got me's working.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Alan. It's been a joy to talk to you. Lovely to meet you. Good luck with the book as well, 7/10 of a second, which is out now, all about your journey and fine margins in F1. And good luck for the final 2 weekends. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.